If you've got pitches that need some shifting, Boss has a few options available. Coming up with 5 different ways of using pitch shifting pedals in a single minute-long jam isn't necessarily the reason I started a YouTube channel, but that ended up being not as bad as it could have been, right? I'll give myself that. Now, just a heads up, I'm gonna talk a lot on this one. I know most of you don't mind, but like my Keeley Memphis Sun video was a page and a half. This is closer to 5, and it makes sense because it's 4 pedals, the PS2, PS3, PS5, and PS6, and I want to cover it like that as a progression. So I'm going to hit what I think is interesting or important, and then I'm going to tie that to the next pedal. And if I don't show your favorite feature, or if I don't use it the right way, then hey, I'm real sorry. Now, let's get going, and because there was no PS1, we'll jump right in with 1987's PS2 digital pitch shifter / delay. And I know we're here for the pitch shifting, but this one's got some super warm, unintentional lo-fi early digital sound. There's actually 3 delay modes here. They correspond with the overall amount of delay. So you heard the middle one. You go shorter for slap back. You go the other direction for up to 2 seconds of digital delay, if you need that. And then there's 3 pitch shifting modes. Mode 4 is where it all starts, and let's just say it's fairly primitive. The pitch shifting engine in here has no concept of notes or steps. And this knob has no detents. It turns freely. It's just changing the playback sample rate. So unless you're real lucky or real precise, I hope you like dissonance. But the last two modes are locked in at octave up and octave down, so we're safe there. One thing that carries through on all of these pedals is some sort of a balance knob on the left side, which you'd probably set in the middle for octaves and harmonies, and fully right for whammy and pitch bending effects. The PS2 has this neat trick up its sleeve as well. You find that by setting the fine manual knob just slightly off center. Yeah, it's almost sorta a chorus. Two voices just slightly off pitch and time. That's a surprise tool that'll help us later. We've also got a feedback knob. Of course we do, it's there for the delay. What's really funny is it also works in pitch shifting mode. You can almost think of it like propagating plants. It takes a tiny bit of the output signal and then plants it back at the beginning so it can go on its own journey. And the delay is so short, it's just the digital lag, a couple of milliseconds. It's so short that it becomes this super resonant ring modulator kind of thing. And the manual even has a setting that leans into this called Mysterious Sound. Mysterious, yes. Important? Maybe not. The PS2 came out and did its thing, but in 1994, the PS3 just completely blew up this guy's spot. So we're going 12-bit to 16-bit, and now there's dual pitch shifters. There's 5 additional pitch shifting modes. There's an expression pedal input, and the delay is a lot cleaner and nicer. I guess you can't win them all. But remember how I was struggling to dial in the exact spot for the Detune effect on here? I'm happy to report that on the PS3, Detune is a thing, and it's called Mode 4. Modes 1, 2, and 3 are delay modes. We can safely skip those. The real pitch shifting fun starts at mode 5. And unlike the tuning mode of the PS2, this actually shifts in increments, making it a lot easier to find the interval we're after. And the neat trick about these modes is we can also dial in a little bit of delay and feedback. kind of turns into like a proto-Terra echo there, and I really like those delay pitch shifting combos, especially mode 7, which is a reverse delay. Sad to say, it's the last we'll see of them in this series, for now. Modes 8, 9, and 10 are combinations of detune and pitch shifting. So 8 is detune plus detune, which I really like. 9 is detune plus pitch shift, and 10 is dual pitch shifters. If you're listening in stereo, you're starting to hear some of the dual output capabilities we get, where one pitch goes one way, one goes the other, and then the dry signal's in the middle like, wait, what do you want from me? And of course, the dry to wet mix is set with the balance knob. Finally, mode 11, it goes up to 11. This lets us use an expression pedal or a momentary switch to vary the pitch between two predetermined. It's doing the whammy thing. It's trying to do the whammy thing. The PS3 came out in 1994, same year as the HR2 Harmonist. I didn't buy one of those to try out because it's technically not a PS pedal, but obviously a lot of what was going on in there winds up in pitch shifting pedals that will follow, including the PS6 Harmonist. How confusing is that? We skip 4 because that's not a good number in certain East Asian cultures, kind of like how we skip the 13th floor in a lot of tall buildings in the US. But just like last time, PS5 making big moves. We go to a 24-bit DSP. We get a slightly different color, which I see on this Toyota Prius that I drive past on my way to band practice sometimes. Looks really nice. And as previously alluded, PS3 was the last one with delay modes. I guess they figured everyone has their own delay pedal by now. But we get those harmony modes, which started out on the HR2. So now instead of just arbitrarily bending the pitch X number of semitones, we can dial in the key we're in and tell it what interval we want, up or down, the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, or if we can't be bothered with keys, 1 or 2 octaves. So if we're jamming out and our bass player is laying down something in E, we just have to make sure we're set to E. I was doing a little bit of acting there, pretending to be in the wrong key, but I found that, at least on my pedal, this knob had drifted over the years, and the detents are really close together, so making sure you're set where you think you're set is worth double checking. Also, short story, I used to play in a band with a guy who had one of these things, and he used to just always leave it set in G. Now, granted, every song he wrote was in the key of G, but we did have covers, and I was writing some stuff too. But every time he took a solo, you just hope he wouldn't reach for the super shifter. Now, according to the manual, the harmonist mode is meant for single notes, but the basic pitch shifter is now cleared for chords. So even though it's not going to do the intelligent note computing thing, we can still set it to fifths, play some chords, and see what it does about it. that almost felt like at least the start of something, right? And look, I know that for a lot of people, the reason you get a harmonizer is to do Skinnerd, Maiden, Metallica. I don't want to embarrass myself even attempting those runs here, but I also don't think this quite can pull off faking a second guitar player just yet, which is why I keep coming back to generating simple stuff and textures. But I am all about the Flutter and T.Arm effects on here. And these are here to fake a tremolo if you're playing a hardtail or you don't feel like going out of tune. I'm going to start with Flutter. And this one bends up or down the pitch to where you set it and then brings it back and shakes it around until you let off the pedal. They may as well have just labeled that mode, "Hey Clarissa." There's also the T.Arm. This is another tremolo-inspired mode, and this one is more direct and to the point with less tomfoolery. Both of these are meant for single notes only, but I mean, sounded fine to me. The PS3 had an expression pedal input, so does the PS5. You can use that to influence the depth of the pitch shifting effects. I'll probably just keep using it for whammy stuff. A word about what I keep calling the whammy effect. Digitech's whammy pedal uses technology for pitch detection and harmony generation, which is licensed from a company called IVL. And if you start looking them up, you see they have a lot of patents. I looked through a couple of these, and as an inventor myself, I'll just say that a lot of these seem difficult to work around. We'd call it a crowded space. So I can't blame Boss for not trying to out-whammy Digitech here. It's probably a legal thing more than a technology thing. And all that aside, I think the PS5 has some refinements and creature comforts that a lot of people will really like. I also think some people will say that this line peaked with the PS3. Case in point, Detune is back, but it's just not the same. We started our journey with the digital pitch shifter / delay pedals. That turned into the super shifter, and now we merge that line with the harmonist concept, giving us the PS6 harmonist, which is a real shame because Super Shifter 6 is such an amazing name. Get on your game, boss. Of course, it does the pitch shifting just like the PS5, but it sounds even nicer. The T.Arm, Flutter, and temporary bending of pitch stuff all goes into the S-bend or super bend section. The manual says that it provides a pitch up, pitch down effect that's impossible to obtain using a guitar's tremolo bar. We get it, you're not trying to be a whammy pedal, but thankfully it can still do this if you're in a band covering some Audio Slave. I kind of wish the S in S-bend stood for subtle, because sometimes I am playing a hardtail and it would be really nice to fake a quick little dive, but the shortest interval on here is a whole step up. It's a fake bend. But I mean, good news if you suddenly need to jump up 4 octaves, right? Jumping over to the harmonist feature, what's really nice is that unlike the PS5, which had A, B, C, D, E, F, G, major, and minor, the PS6 has a full chromatic dial, and then you pick major or minor from over here. That's a major convenience. or at least a minor convenience. The interval selections are also a little different over here. We get fewer single harmonies, but we get some really nice 3-voice harmonies on the far ends of that dial. No offense to the PS5, but that is how I want my fake harmonies to sound. It's quite a step up. I also really like this because I have this analog synth, the Arturia Microbrute. I mess around with this all the time, but it can only play one note at once. It's monophonic. Until I add the PS6 after it with a 3-voice harmony. This video is one that I've been planning and putting together and putting off for a long time. I already had the 2 and the 3 and the 5, but I never really spent more than a few minutes playing with them and figuring out what the modes were actually doing. And honestly, it was a lot of fun discovering each pedal's voice. And then of course I had to go and get the PS6 because I wanted to see where that all ended up. I like the delay and maybe the octave stuff of the PS2. I like the dual pitch shifters and the feedback delay thing and the dual detune mode of the PS3. This is probably my favorite. PS5 does the whammy stuff a little bit better, but I think for natural sounding harmonies, if you're doing a one-person band type thing, at least for now, PS6 is a pretty good deal. And if you're thinking of buying one for yourself, consider using my Zounds link down in the video description. For the PS2, PS3, and PS5, and for anything else really, hey, guess who caved and finally got approved as a Reverb affiliate? So use that link when you go shopping for used pedals and you'll help out this guy a whole lot. Next video, I'm honestly not sure what it's going to be about, but I can tell you this much, it'll be about one pedal because I'm exhausted. I'll catch you on the next one.